making headlines. The president decides not to allow long-line fishing following concerns raised by fishermen. The Fisheries Minister emphasizes that adhering to fishing quotas is a key strategy for increasing state revenue. And the Economic Minister expresses confidence in amendments proposed to the Tax Administration Act to significantly boost the state revenue.
Good evening and welcome to PSM News in English. I'm Rudra Mahmoud, your host for the evening. Looking into the details, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz decides not to allow long-line fishing following concerns raised by fishermen. The President's office announced that although the decision to permit long-line fishing was initially made on June 24 based on a cabinet recommendation, the Border-Colonial Masveringe Union voiced strong objections. In response to these concerns, President Dr. Muiz has chosen not to implement the cabinet's decision. Following this decision, the President will engage in comprehensive discussions with the Border-Colonial Masveringe Union and other relevant authorities to address the issue in detail. The government remains committed to considering public opinion and addressing concerns, aiming to bring positive changes to the nation by carefully implementing its policies. Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shyam states President Dr. Mohammad Muiz has prioritized addressing the challenges and concerns of key stakeholders in the fishing sector over the potential benefits of line fishing for the government. In a social media post, Minister Shyam emphasized the government's commitment to listening to fishermen and shaping the industry to their advantage. He assured that the government will continue its efforts to advance the sector and support the livelihoods of fishermen. Following President Dr. Muiz's decision not to implement the government's plan for line fishing, Shyam reaffirmed that the government remains dedicated to ensuring that any fishing practices do not negatively impact the interest of fishermen. The Cabinet had approved the resumption of line fishing on June 13 of this year. However, after reviewing feedback from the Maldives Fishermen Association and holding meetings with fishermen to address their concerns, President Dr. Muiz decided not to proceed with the plan. The President has committed to working on resolving issues within the sector to safeguard the well-being of the fishing community. Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shyam emphasizes that adhering to fishing quotas is a key strategy for increasing state revenue. He made the statement during an interview with PSMNEWS following his participation in the 36th session of the G16 like-minded states of the Indian Ocean.
During the session, Minister Shyam highlighted the significance of such meetings, noting that the participation of various countries demonstrates a collective commitment to protecting ocean resources. He also announced that the Maldives will host a similar meeting in the near future, providing a platform for these nations to strengthen their voices within the Indian Ocean Tuna Commission (IOTC). Speaking to PSM News, Minister Shyam underscored the importance of these discussions for the Maldives, a strong advocate of sustainable fisheries. He mentioned that other countries could benefit from the Maldives' approach to fisheries management. The upcoming meeting will focus on discussing fishing quotas for Indian Ocean countries, with Minister Shyam expressing hope that the quotas will be set fairly, taking into consideration the fisheries sector of each nation. Additionally, Minister Shyam emphasized that adhering to these quotas is crucial for long-term sustainability, warning that failure to do so could have negative consequences. He noted by fishing within the assigned quotas, the state can not only secure its current revenue, but also create opportunities to increase its quotas in the near future. The government has raised concerns about the country's current fishing levels, which currently fall short of meeting the IOTC's quota of 47,000 tons for tuna fisheries. In response, the government plans to implement strict regulations on line fishing to ensure the quota is met. Efforts are also underway to involve more locals in the fisheries industry, with regulated line fishing set to commence in February.
The Ministry of Finance announces an ambitious goal to reduce the national debt to 90% of gross domestic product GDP over the next 5 years. In addition, Fitch Ratings has upgraded the Maldives' credit rating from CCC plus to CC, reflecting both challenges and anticipated economic sustainability. In a statement, the Finance Ministry acknowledged that Fitch's rating highlights ongoing concerns about the current fiscal and external sectors despite expectations for economic recovery. In response, the government is revising its revenue and expenditure policies comprehensively to address these issues and implement strategies to reduce debt in the medium term. The ministry emphasized that strengthening the financial sector is key to improving the country's financial health and restoring debt sustainability. This effort is expected to be supported by growth in tourism and the overall economy. To boost revenue, the government plans to increase airport taxes, green tax rates, and import duties on certain unhealthy products. Additionally, amendments to the GST Act will expand the tax base and increase foreign exchange earnings through the Tourism Goods and Services Tax, contributing to the Sovereign Development Fund, and easing foreign currency debt repayment. The government is also preparing policies aimed at managing public spending sustainably. These efforts include reducing inefficiencies in state-owned enterprises, replacing indirect subsidies with direct subsidies targeted at those in need, strengthening the national health insurance system, implementing fuel hedging policies, and cutting discretionary government expenditures to mitigate the impact of volatile global oil prices. The government is working diligently to enhance the country's financial stability with several loans due to various international agencies in the coming months. Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammad Saeed expresses confidence in amendments proposed to the Tax Administration Act such that tax are paid in dollars to significantly boost the state revenue.
Speaking at the press conference, Minister Said stated that the implementation of the amendments will increase the state revenue through tax by $40 million to $80 million. Therefore, the minister revealed the government's efforts to bring the necessary amendments promptly and ensure the enforcement as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shyam recognized the dollar shortages experienced during the previous administration's tenure. However, he criticized the responsive actions of the previous government, stating that it tried to resolve the issue by printing money instead of exerting efforts to reduce the state expenditures. Experts have also attributed the current dollar shortages to the actions of the previous administration, lauding the current government's efforts to increase foreign currency reserves. During the media address, Minister of Foreign Affairs Musa Zamir stressed that critics have been spreading rumors on the country's financial situation. The minister urged all individuals to refrain from spreading false rumors, reaffirming that the government will not make any decisions which will negatively impact the residents. Aiming to address the critical issue of dollar shortages, the government has decided to bring amendments to 3 legislations. The amendment to the Tax Administration Act will facilitate businesses that generate income in dollars by allowing them to make governmental payments in dollars. It will also enable companies earning revenue in dollars to pay corporate income tax in the same currency. The government has been striving to improve the financial situation of the economy in various ways, including the stoppage of printing money. The government's efforts have to improve the status of the economy has been lauded by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) as well.
Controller General of Immigration Mohammad Shaman Wahid states that the authority is working to expand its operation to identify illegal immigrants to the atolls. Shaman made the statement during a press briefing held to share the latest details of the ongoing operations of immigration.
Speaking to the press, Sharma noted that efforts are being made to bring in foreigners living in the Maldives illegally into the system. He stated that the operation launched to do so in one of the most important steps taken by the authorities to solve the issue of illegal immigrants in the country. Shaman disclosed that mass inspections were conducted by a team of 211 immigration officers, where a large number of illegal immigrants were identified. He stated that while some of them were taken into immigration custody and deported, some illegal businesses were given a period of 1 month to get their business registered legally. He added that legal action will be taken against those who fail to register their businesses within the given period. Shaman went on to say the immigrants living illegally in the capital is attempting to flee to outlying atolls. As such, he noted that the Kurdufushi City Council has reported the authority that illegal immigrants have been moving into the city. As part of the immigration's efforts, more than 3,300 immigrants living illegally or conducting illegal businesses have been deported from the country. The government is implementing stringent measures to solve the issue of illegal immigrants in the country. As such, the government is working tirelessly to expand its operations nationwide and solve the issue within 3 years.
Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hassan announces that days worked under the rehabilitation program will now count towards reducing the sentences of inmates. The announcement was made during the inauguration of Divehi Sagafi Goti, a cultural initiative established by the Maldives Correctional Service, at Mafushi Prison in Kaf Atoll. During the ceremony, Minister Ihsan underscored the significance of integrating national identity and culture into the rehabilitation process for prisoners. He highlighted, following the directive of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz, inmates will receive training in cultural activities conducted at Mafushi Prison, with a portion of the income generated from this work being shared with the inmates. Minister Hassan also emphasized inmates are being trained in various trades as part of their rehabilitation. Importantly, each day spent working in these fields will be deducted from their overall sentence. He added relevant laws and regulations would be amended accordingly, with the changes communicated to all inmates in due course. Furthermore, the minister reiterated President Dr. Muiz's vision: all inmates should have the opportunity to acquire valuable skills and earn income during their imprisonment. He stated the current administration does not aim to keep individuals incarcerated for extended periods and that existing protocols and rehabilitation programs will be revised to align with this vision. Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hassan announces plans to consolidate all prisons into a central facility to reduce per capita costs. The announcement was made during the inauguration of Divehi Sagafi Goti, a cultural initiative at Mafushi Prison in Kaf Atoll. During the ceremony, Minister Hassan highlighted the high operational costs of the current prison system, which amounts to $1,750 per inmate per month. To address this, the government plans to establish a central prison on reclaimed land near the capital, Male City. This new facility aims to reduce per capita expenditure to approximately $1,102 based on current projections. The central prison is expected to be operational within 3 years. Minister Hassan also emphasized the importance of strengthening the inmate management system. He reiterated President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's vision of combining the currently dispersed prisons across different islands into a single facility capable of providing all necessary services in one location. Furthermore, Minister Hassan assured that the treatment of inmates will continue to be differentiated based on the nature of their crimes. He added the new prison will be designed to meet international standards, offering both standard and rehabilitative care to inmates. Minister of Agriculture and Animal Welfare Dr. Aishat Ramila underscores the pivotal role of the National Agricultural Laboratory in advancing the agricultural industry. The remarks were made by the minister during the signing ceremony held to hand over the developmental project to contractors. The National Agricultural Laboratory is currently being developed in Formless City. Speaking at the ceremony, Minister Dr. Ramila emphasized the importance of the laboratory in identifying crop diseases and to yield positive results from the efforts of those working in the industry. The minister highlighted the state incurs several expenses due to the lack of adequate resources to test and analyze plant diseases. She added if any study was required to be conducted, it could only be conducted abroad. Reiterating the government's objective to ensure the agricultural industry boosts economic growth, Minister Dr. Ramila affirmed that the government is exerting maximum efforts to achieve this objective. She noted efforts are underway to ensure that the agricultural industry contributes well to economic growth. Under the government's efforts to ensure that the agricultural industry is a revenue-generating industry, the minister stated that the establishment of the industry will bolster the industry significantly. The development of the laboratory was contracted to Wenza Company Private Limited. The laboratory will be developed focusing on 4 key areas, including soil testing, tissue culture, plant pathology, and entomology. It is being developed under the UNDP's Project for Developing Sustainable Agriculture Economy in collaboration with the UNDP and the Japanese government. Chinese tech giant Huawei says that sales surged in the first half of the year even as it struggles under the weight of sanctions that have deprived it of technology from the United States.
The Shenzhen-based company has for several years been at the center of an intense technological rivalry between Beijing and Washington, with US officials warning its equipment could be used to spy on behalf of Chinese authorities, allegations it denies. Since 2019, the sanctions have cut Huawei off from global supply chains for technology and US-made components, hammering its production of smartphones at the time. On Thursday, it posted sales of $58.72 billion in January to June, an on-year increase of 34.3%. That compares with 3.1% growth in the same period last year. It did not break down net profit. Huawei is a private company that is not publicly traded and is therefore not subject to the same obligations as other companies to publish detailed results. The firm's profit margin reached 13.2% in the period, down from 15% a year earlier, it said. It did not provide other financial details. A Huawei spokesperson said the company grew its revenue in the first half of 2024 by making the most of opportunities in digitalization, intelligence, and decarbonization. Its consumer and intelligent automotive solution businesses grew rapidly, they said, adding that its ICT infrastructure, cloud, and digital power businesses remained steady. Huawei remains the world's leading equipment manufacturer for 5G, the 5th generation of mobile internet, and has been involved in infrastructure projects in several countries. It was once among the world's top 3 smartphone makers alongside Samsung and Apple, but US sanctions have forced it to refocus on sectors such as software, enterprise computing, and even electric vehicles with the ITO brand.
The death toll climbs as Israel pressed a large-scale military operation in the occupied West Bank for a second day. Despite UN concerns, it is fueling an already explosive situation.
The operation was launched as violence raged on in the other main Palestinian territory, the Gaza Strip, which has been devastated by war since Hamas's unprecedented October 7 attacks. Israel began coordinated raids in the northern West Bank in 3 cities early on Wednesday in what the military called a counterterrorism operation. Columns of Israeli armored vehicles backed by troops and warplanes were sent in before soldiers encircled refugee camps in the 3 cities and exchanged fire with Palestinian militants. The army said it killed 5 militants in Tulkarem during the latest operations in the West Bank on Thursday, bringing the overall toll to 14 dead. Palestinian militant group Islamic Jihad confirmed the death of Mohammed Jabbar, also known as Abu Shuja, its commander in the Nur Shams refugee camp in Tulkarem. The violence has caused significant destruction, especially in Tulkarem, whose governor described the raids as unprecedented and a dangerous signal. AFP TV footage showed bulldozers ripping up the asphalt from streets in the city as a precaution against concealed explosives. Authorities reported widespread damage to infrastructure, including to water and sewage networks. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 12 Palestinians were killed on the first day of the operation. Witnesses said the Israeli forces had withdrawn from Al-Farah refugee camp in Tubas, where several Palestinians were killed on Wednesday. The Palestinian Prisoners Club said at least 45 people had been arrested since the start of the Israeli operation in the northern West Bank.
Germany coach Julian Nagelsmann includes uncapped midfielder Angelo Stiller in his squad for the September Nations League fixtures, with their first matches since a Euro 2024 quarter-final exit and several retirements.
The squad is the first named after generational change brought on by the international retirements of veterans and 2014 World Cup winners Manuel Neuer, Toni Kroos and Thomas Müller. Captain at Euro 2024, Gundogan, who missed Germany's 2014 World Cup triumph through injury, has also announced that he will no longer play for his country. Nagelsmann did not dictate who would take over from Gundogan as skipper, although German media reported Bayern Munich midfielder Joshua Kimmich is the front-runner. Stuttgart's Stiller is the only uncapped player to be called up, with Nagelsmann praising his good performances with last season's surprise Bundesliga runners-up. The coach said he wanted to stick with the majority of the squad who impressed at Euro 2024 on home soil. Nagelsmann said these changes are enough for the national team for the moment. Longtime understudy Marc-Andre ter Stegen is expected to be first-choice goalkeeper in place of Neuer. Alexander Nübel, who is on loan at Stuttgart from Bayern and is viewed as the long-term successor to Neuer at club level, has been included in the squad, having been cut just before Euro 2024. Real Madrid centre-back Antonio has been rested after a long summer, including winning the Champions League final at Wembley in June. Bayern forward Sergei Gnabry, who missed Euro 2024 with a muscle injury, has also been left out of the squad despite a return to fitness. Fellow Bayern winger Leroy Sane misses out as he continues his return from an operation on a leg injury. After almost a decade of underperforming at major tournaments, including 2 group stage World Cup exits in Russia and Qatar, Germany impressed at the Euros. The hosts were eliminated with a 2-1 extra-time loss to Spain in Stuttgart, the only team not to lose to the eventual champions inside 90 minutes.
SpaceX once more postpones its attempt at launching a daring orbital expedition featuring an all-civilian crew that is aiming to carry out the first-ever spacewalk by private citizens.
The Polaris Dawn mission, organized by billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman, had been set to lift off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida during a 4-hour window. But SpaceX announced it was pushing back the launch plans due to unfavorable weather forecasted in Dragon Splashdowns area off the coast of Florida. Isaacman later added on X that because the spaceship won't rendezvous with the International Space Station and has limited consumables on board, it was particularly constrained by the forecast during the splashdown window. The timing of the next launch could be further complicated by the fact the first stage booster of another SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that had sent a batch of Starlink satellites into orbit tipped over and exploded during a landing attempt on a waiting drone ship. Although landing the booster is a secondary consideration, the reusability of the entire rocket system is core to SpaceX's business model, and the loss snapped a 3-year streak of successful first-stage landings. SpaceX announced it was standing down from launching the next set of Starlink satellites while it reviewed the data. An earlier attempt to launch Polaris Dawn on Tuesday was scrapped due to a helium leak on a line connecting the tower to the rocket. Riding atop a Falcon 9 rocket, the SpaceX Dragon capsule is set to reach a peak altitude of 870 miles, 1,400 kilometers higher than any crewed mission in more than half a century since the Apollo era.
That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Help us on our